Oh hi, this will be my first tutorial video for how to play Her Name Was Fire. For this build I'm going to do a Fire Orbs build that's based on the sorcery itself rather than additional cards. So the cards I'll be looking for are Witch and Fasting for the highest priorities, and then otherwise increased casting speed, movement speed, and the Devil, which I'll go into more details about, and Phantom, which I'll go into more details about each of those as I find them. So to start off with, I'll start with Fire Orbs and go into Celerity so I have the additional cast speed. And then I like to go with just the basic mode because I'm just learning the game still. I just started picking it up recently, and so I'm not confident in doing it in under 15 minutes, so we'll start with this. Other options you could have, if you have gotten Gamble, this one's really good just for the higher chance of being able to get the cards, as long as you're fine with dealing with longer penalties if you don't. Or if you don't want to gamble for it, Tax Evasion just for avoiding penalties, so you always get two choices pretty much. So anyway, we'll go on with this now. Okay, so nothing here that I need. So I'm gonna redraw. Okay, so the first one that I'll take is the Phantom. This is actually a good screen to show with. So the Phantom and the Phoenix are both cards that are exclusive to the Fire Orb. This one will make it so your shot will pierce. Well, this one makes it so as soon as it hits its final target, it'll spread into piercing feathers to do damage. The Phoenix I would recommend for a card-based build, so one that you're actually doing casting and not really based on the sorcery. However, because the Phoenix, the feathers are the portion of your damage, you don't care about your sorcery damage. However, the Phantom, we want to get the sorcery damage as high as possible, so the Fireball is the one that does the damage, so I recommend this for sorcery builds. For the penalties for taking these things, I strongly recommend Injury, because we will not be dashing at all anyway. Alternatively, Tantrum you could take if your screen is pretty barren at the time of taking it, because only the enemies that are on the screen and a little bit off of it will gain the Tantrum buff. Not every enemy will, and future enemies that spawn do not. So I'll take Injury. Okay, for this one, the Devil showed up. So the Devil is an allegory you get from one of the bosses. I recommend buying this one when you can. So this one gives you a 30% chance of doing a triple shot, and it goes up by 20% per level, so 30, then 50, then 70. And so when you do trigger it, it's very good for just clearing entire groups. And I'm getting very lucky with triggers right now. Okay, the Devil is here, but here's the first level of the Witch. So the reason why this one's so good is it lowers your base damage by 15%, and that'll keep going up. But as long as you're not taking damage or dashing, this will keep increasing your damage, I think up to 2.5% at the max level. I might be wrong about that. But for every cast that you do, and there is no cap to it. So you can see my damage right now is 34, but that's just going to keep climbing now. Okay, again, I'm going to be taking Metabolism for cast speed. The other ones aren't good for this build. Sunburst, I really like that one specifically for the Gatling gun build. that'll probably be like the 5th video I make. Okay. Level 5, you always get the option for a specialization. Normally, I would take either Dragon or Hunter if you're doing one of the casting builds. However, because you're doing specifically the Sorcery build, I recommend just redrawing. And I never recommend Berserker just because it's always close range. And it's counterintuitive that you'll be invincible while inside the enemies. That way, if it wears off when you don't want it to, you just take damage. So I'll just redraw. Okay, I'm going to take the Hare just for the increased movement speed. And for this part, again, injury, because we don't want to dash. So you can see the base damage is already 50, which is 10 higher than the starting damage. So it's just going to keep climbing up like this. There's another level of Metabolism. This one, nothing I like. Redraw. And nothing I like. So skip. Injury. So the reason why we're just skipping rather than taking something that's okay is if we find the fasting gives us 15% at the starting level, and then it increases by, I don't remember what value, but it'll give us bonus damage for every card we've skipped, and it counts previous cards. So I'm going to just skip anything that doesn't go towards this build, just to build our damage as high as possible. Okay, here's another level of Phantom. We do want that. Okay, and head towards the server now. So when going in, it's recommended just start charging a shot while you're close, because you can get some free damage in while it's doing a cutscene that you're invincible during. Okay, so Necrophage is one that I will actually take since it's here and there's nothing else that's better. So this will give us an increased crit chance by 20% as long as we're at full health, and because our damage will go down when we get hit anyway, it's recommended to grab. So you can see our base damage is already 90 at this point. So the biggest thing you really have to be careful about with this build is if you come across any of the ranged attacking, so the bullet shooting ones, because if you're not paying enough attention, you can easily just be shot and lose all your damage. So I'm going to redraw here. Okay, here's the first level of fasting. So, like I said, it gives 15% increased damage for every level we've skipped. We've only skipped one, but 15% is already pretty solid. Otherwise, I would have taken Phantom. And again, injury because we don't care about dashing. Okay, here's Witch level 2. So, because it'll jump up to 1.6 from 0.8 for every full cast. It applies suddenly for the current count of how many you've done. So our damage is going to go up a whole bunch from just one extra level of this. So you can see I'm already doing a base of 127 right now. And that's just going to keep climbing. Remember that if you don't have enough of the levels of crawling, you will move pretty slow in comparison when you're shooting. So if you ever find yourself trapped, just stop shooting and move into a safe spot before you continue. Often when I get hit, it's because I think that my shot's going to kill something, and it makes it through because I can't see. So, one thing I recommend is, if you can avoid it, don't walk in the direction that you're shooting. Okay. You can see that for Necrophage, for the second additional level, it just goes from 20 to 30. So I think it maxes out at 60, which is really good, but I'd rather skip to get an extra 15% damage than a 10% crit chance. And now we got another Witch. And injury. Okay, we're gonna head towards the server now. So our damage is high enough that we may just be able to, if we get a good proc, one-shot the boss. Oh, I didn't get a shot off at the beginning, but it's already dead. Redraw. And skip. And injury. Okay. So the Magician isn't all that difficult. If he wasn't dying in that quickly, he has 2 attacks he really need to worry about. That rotating sword, and he creates a sword in all 4 directions. So for this, we're going to take Devil. That's the only real allegory that I take in this build. It's the only one that really helps, because it triples your spell. So 50% chance now. Okay, for this, I'm going to take the Devil just so I have a 70% chance of doing the triple shot. Otherwise, I definitely would have taken the Fasting. But it is rare to come across. So. And that is the max. It cannot get to 90. Obviously can't get above 100. So now it goes back to priority of witching then fasting. So I already do a high enough damage that I will just start going straight towards the servers as soon as they spawn. If I do end up getting hit, that's when I'll start sticking around to farm instead. Okay, for this one, redraw. Okay, fasting. And, okay, I don't have the option for injury this time, so I would rather take Tantrum. Like I said, the enemies will move faster, but it only matters for the enemies currently on the screen. I don't trust losing half my speed in this kind of regard. We're already past all the tantrumed enemies. Okay, heading towards the server now. So these are the worst enemies, the ones that shoot wave attacks, because the attacks are long enough that if you're not ready, you will not dodge it without increased movement speed. And it's dead before it even did its cutscene. Still shot off one bullet though, so be careful with that. Okay, this one I will take another level of the Phantom. That's all we really need for levels of the Phantom, because our damage is so high we kind of just clear everything anyway. But if you get it high enough, you can just start circling and shooting every direction. And you don't have to worry about picking anything up if you don't want to, because the second server will always do a vacuum effect. So anything that you've left on the ground, even off the screens, will just come flying to you. See, that shot almost got me because he shot off the screen. Okay, new server's appeared. I just start beelining towards it. Oh. That shot almost got me. Okay, level 4 of the Witch. So the Crawler is the other one that I was saying I very strongly recommend, but I'm definitely grabbing the Witch first. Okay, and I should have enough damage that I can kill the boss before it even moves now. Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So, these ones are not worth grabbing, so I'm going to grab the Crawler so I can move faster while I shoot. After you get to 4 levels, you do not get a move speed reduction. At the 5th level, you get a move speed increase for shooting. I did notice an enemy got near me, so my damage is going to have dropped a whole bunch now. But I do have max level Witch, so now it's going to climb very quickly as well. Okay, so I took more crit chance on that one. I could have skipped it, but because of my damage reduction, I want my guaranteed higher damage. Well, not guaranteed, higher chance for higher damage. Okay. The tower isn't too bad. Okay, for this one, again, skip. And I think this is already acceptance. No, I'm on depression. Okay. Let's get another level of the crawler. Yep. Definitely almost cost myself my damage there. Server should be spawning right away. There it goes. Redraw. Okay, fasting. Injury. Okay, yeah, So my base damage right now is 1450. Or, sorry, 553. Okay, I'm going to grab the first level of the Buffalo now. It'll lower my attack speed a little bit, but increases my crit chance by 10% and my crit strike damage by a 30. So. Okay. I'll have to go over what each of the bosses do in a later video where they aren't dying in one shot. Okay, so I don't really want any of these. Though I do like this scavenger, but I'd rather have higher damage. And acceptance. One thing to note is, at this point, I do not recommend using the redraw, because if you have the option for injury, big deal, that one's perfectly fine, but if you don't, the stages are very tough to do without it. Because you do not want these enemies moving faster, it will just overwhelm you. You don't want to be moving slower for the same reason. And you definitely don't want your sorcery damage lowered by 90%. I mean, to be fair, 90% would still leave you at, I think, 70 damage for what my base is. It's really hard to tell because I'm doing 7k sometimes. I think 1400 is my base. So you would still be doing 148. But when it comes to the faster boss, mini-boss enemies, you do not do enough damage. You want to have that happen. Okay, once again, go in while shooting. And it's dead. For this casting build that's all about witch and fasting, it really does not matter which weapon you start with. they will play out practically the same. It's just a matter of which of the personal augments they get. Whoop, that was close. So, this one gets Phantom for wave clear. I'll go over in future videos on which ones to grab for Gatling Twig and Thunderblade. Okay, we finally have another level of Metabolism, so I'm gonna grab that. Okay, so I'm gonna take Buffalo. I already have enough of Crawler when there's only one enemy left. So I'm just gonna go in now. So it's time for the last boss. And there. That's the end of the run. So, that'll be it for this one, so thank you for watching, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.